In this video, we'll try and understand the various functions, which is the count function, the CountA function, and then the len function, which also represents the length function. So we say that at which point should we use the count function, at which point should we use the CountA function, and then when we say the len function, what are we trying to talk about? So that's what we'll try and gain further insight into today. So we'll start with the count function. So the count function is mostly used to count set of values in a given data set. So when you take our data set under the count function over here, realize that there's one column that has a list of countries, and then there's another column that has a list of numbers or values. So with the count function, we'll apply the count function on the set of data that has values. That's this side, which is values, and this side, which is strings. So our count function will be centered around the column that has values, which is this column. So, and for our count function, this is how we go about the count function. As if we want to count a set of values in a data set in a given row or column. So this is how we go about it. We use the function equals to count. So we choose the count function, and then we choose the value that we want from it. So we can choose here from cell B5, we can choose it as this way, and then we hit enter. So our count function here is telling us that the set of values in cell B5, this cell B5, is just one, which we can see just from an eyesight, just using our eyes to gauge it. So what if you want to count the number of values in these cells? What function can we use? So we'll use the same CountA function, since everything in this column is a set of data or it's a set of values. So in this regard, we'll go with the same function, but this time I'll put it at the base here. So I'll highlight this row. This way we'll be putting our count function. So I'll put it as this way, equals to count. So we choose our count function, and then we select our data range, which is from here to here, and then we close. So we have 14. So with the count function, it's telling us that there are 14 sets of values within the range that we had selected, which is from B5 to B18. There are 14 set of values in these columns. So that's with the count function. Similarly, let's try and apply our count function on set of values in column A. We'll have our count function as this, equals to count. So we choose our count function, and then we'll ask us which value are we trying to count. So in this set, we'll try and count the set of values that are in column A. So we can start with count the value that's in cell A5, which is Kenya. So let's see what our value will be. So the count will return 0. So we can drag it through, and we see that all our counts return a value of 0, indicating that the count function is not supposed to be used for strings. So you realize that Kenya, when we say string, we say text or letters. So when you apply the count function on any text, it will return the value 0, because the count function is not supposed to be used to count text or strings. So let's do the same thing again. Let's bring that our same formula here, equals to count, and this time around we'll try and count the values that are in row A and B, or column A and B. So this time we'll have our function as this way, equals to count, and then we'll put our data range, which is A5 to B5. So we'll choose our data range this way, and we hit enter. You realize that our function returned the count 1, which says that between the data range A5 to B5, the count function returned a value of 1, indicating that there was only one set of values which represented numbers, or which represented any other thing other than text or strings, which is this. So we can drag it through and realize that our function returned a set of values as 1, which is just counting cells that had values in them other than strings.